This is Dr. Tom Roselle. After 38 years of practice and almost 1 million patient visits, the Roselle Center for Healing knows what works and knows how you can take control of your health and wellness. My team of doctors practice 21st century integrative medicine. Whether you suffer from chronic pain and fatigue, allergies, or headaches, we can help. Take charge of your health before it's too late. Make an appointment today. Call 703-698-7117 or visit online at rosellecare.com.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live, right now, on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. This is Dr. Tom Roselle live in studio. Love to take your phone calls on any subject that you have in mind. Perhaps you've had a problem, you've tried, you've applied, same old stuff, it doesn't work. Here's an opportunity. Give us a call, 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. Let's see if we can figure out how to do it without drugs, without surgery, without all the pain and the upset that you've had for so long. But we do have an interesting topic today, one that we're kind of stepping out on the limb, if you will, to talk about, only because it affects probably every person in this country, and if not throughout the entire world. How can I say 100% of something affects 100% of the population? Well, it does to certain extents, and what we're talking about is electromagnetic frequencies, and that's going to be the topic of our program this Wednesday evening, our in-house continuing education program on the 10th of this month, December the 10th. The year is almost over, 2014. But guess what? If we give you the benefit of understanding how your cell phone, your devices, your car, your environment, this radio station that I'm sitting in right now talking to you, all the low-volt frequencies that are coming after you and at you, the microwave currents, and you wonder why some of the things happen. But we're going to look at it from a perspective of pain. In studio, and your host this Wednesday evening at the Roselle Center for Healing is Dr. Leonard Poe. He will present this topic intimately and very specifically and give you an opportunity to find out why when you put that cell phone to your head it hurts and causes other problems. Dr. Poe, welcome to the welcome to the practice. I'm okay today. Welcome to the studio again. Anyway, this is your topic and we're going to talk about it. But before we get into it, I want to remind our listeners that got coming up something very special and near and dear to our hearts. And what is that? It's called our second annual Holiday Children's Jubilee on December the 20th. And it's being sponsored by Caring for Others and the Roselle Center for Healing. And it's supporting of those shelters that help people who are in a really bad place. So what I mean by that, these people have been subject to domestic violence. Hundreds of children and their mothers are forced to flee from their homes because they're being beaten. And they have to go to shelters and they have to be protected. And some of them, I mean, even though that I'm going to tell you some of the names, you can't find them because they're not on the map because they are being protected. So anyway, last year was our first, and it was over the top. We had 84 children. This year we're going to have a whole lot more. I think right now the shelters have already told us we're over in excess of 100. And plus their mothers, and we have such a great outpouring of help. WHUT-TV is going to be there. They have donated their time and their staff, and they're doing snippets on this, and we're asking for your help as well. If you go to caringforothersltd.org, that's caringforothersltd.org, go to the website and donate from your heart. And actually, all we're asking you for is $25 to $50 or a whole lot more if you find it in your heart to do so and help us celebrate this second annual Jubilee. I mean, we're going to give these kids sleep sacks and dolls and boas and things for mom, and it's over the top. Gift cards, and that's what we're asking you to help. And we're going to have a great dinner. It's going to be at the Fairview Park Marriott Hotel, and their staff is helping us. But Caring for Others has really gone over the top with this thing. And not only Shelter House and Artemis House and Patrick Henry House, but Food for Others and Fairfax Community Services and CFC and the United Way and Boys and Girls Club of America, the Salvation Army. These are people that we've worked with. Help us reach our goal this year, $40,000. Get on that website, caringforothersltd.org. If you're not computer savvy and you don't like the computers, you can call our office. Go to 703-698-7117 and tell my staff that you'd like to donate. And by the way, that's going to be the number you're going to register for this Wednesday evening's program on electromagnetic frequencies. We'll talk a little bit more about the CFO event later on in the program, but right now we have things that are of more interest, and we want to talk to you about it a little bit. Dr. Poe, let's get into this. Let's talk about it. Again, we're stepping over the edge a little bit, and it wouldn't seem that it would be one of those topics that a lot of people want to tiptoe into. But, we said for years that cell phones all by themselves are causing tremendous amount of brain damage and ocular disturbances and cancers and so forth. And now on the packages, actually, the manufacturers say, be aware, in some cases they have produced yada, 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 and things that we don't read about. But let's talk about what happens. What's the problem with all these random electromagnetics? I mean, in some situations, electromagnetics are used to heal, but we're not talking about that piece. We're talking about the aberrancy.
Right, and the place where we're talking about today more than anything else is that non-ionizing radiation. We know that ionizing radiation is harmful, and that's things like X-rays and PET scans and things like that. There is some destruction that goes along with that. But we're talking about the other kinds, like you said, the things from cell phones, microwaves, all the Wi-Fi that's around us, all those things. And it's a hard topic because the research on it is kind of all over the place. You've got some research says no, it doesn't do anything. You got some research out there that says, oh, yeah, it causes brain tumors. We know that it has an impact on the body. Those things definitely impact the tissues. One of the big places they look at is the pineal gland. It interferes with melatonin production, and that starts a whole slew of other problems for brain development.
The pineal is this little pea-shaped sized gland that sits in the brain.
Not everybody knows that?
No. It's I'm sitting there. You and I go back and forth and we talk about these things like it's second nature to us, which it is. But nevertheless, when we sit there and somebody will say that, what's that? Dude, that was a big term. Where did it come from? Well, the pineal is a little pea-sized shaped gland in the brain that controls a lot of different systems. And if it ain't working right,
one of the big things it controls is the output of melatonin, which is one of the hormones that helps you sleep, helps with sleep regulation, helps with the regulation of other neurotransmitters and hormones. And when those things get out of whack, then everything gets out of whack. The body doesn't run right.
So what you're saying is somebody has a Bluetooth earpiece or they're on the cell phone a lot and so forth, they may not be sleeping very well.
Yeah, they may not be sleeping very well, but it can also be affecting the brain chemistry in a way that sets you up for different kinds of neurological destruction and sets you up for different things like different kinds of gliomas and other kind of brain tumors and things like that.
Bluetooth headsets, those little earpieces, they make me crazy because I look at them and I...
Literally.
Yes, and they will, by the way, because, I don't use them and I don't even like putting cell phone in my head.
Or even in your hand.
Even in my hand. I put it. No, I just don't. I hate them. But anyway, they've been known to cause blindness and deafness and brain tumors and neck pain and stiffness and headaches. So, people are suffering, and it's not just the Bluetooth earpiece. It's all the electrical field. So we see patients that come in the office and they say, my head hurts.
Right.
And when did it start? Oh, slowly over the last several years, and it's getting worse. And one of the things that sometimes we even forget to ask about is, tell me about the habit that you have with your cell phone.
Yeah, how long are you in front of the computer?
Yeah, how long are you sitting there in front of it?
Yeah.
In my case, way too many hours.
Yeah.
For a lot of stupid reasons.
We're bombarded by it today. It's everywhere. I mean, even if you don't have a cell phone, I've got mine. So, these frequencies are everywhere. They're all over the place.
Yeah, that's just localizing it to you when you answer your phone. But this, when I sit and I talk to patients and I go over their case histories and their examination findings, I said, look at it this way. We're talking about, when we talk about the chemical side of the triangle, we call it structural, chemical, emotional. The chemical is really chemical, electrical. And you have to understand and respect that if you have a cell phone and it goes off, it's just not directed to your cell phone. Everybody else in this area is getting, and I talk about being in a hot box, living in the Washington metro area. You've got everything that you can possibly imagine. The only way you get away from the stuff, and then not even then, is if you're on top of a mountain in a Buddhist temple someplace.
It's like I said, it's something it's hard to quantify it. But just common sense. We know, nobody wants to live under high tension power lines. We've known that for years. There's cancer clusters all around them. We know that. And they're starting to look at things like cell towers and all these other pieces, but nobody wants to do the research on that because nobody makes money off it unless it's for therapeutic benefit.
No,
we know therapeutically you can use this stuff to help change some things, but it's all these other destructive forces that are out there that overlooked.
If you get out and look at this stuff and you realize that this technology was put on the marketplace, the FDA allowed it, they blessed it, they gave it their holy blessing without doing any pre-market evaluation or testing. Right. They said, yeah, go, great. It's it's one of those things we have to have. And the thing that is that there was a study that was done by a Swedish National Institute. It's actually called the Swedish National Institute for Working Life, and showed that cell phone users have a 240% greater risk of developing brain tumors on the same side of the head that they use the phone on. 240%.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's there. We know it. We know it affects the body. I mean, absolutely. There's no doubt.
So there's ways to fix this, and we're going to talk about that, and I know that you will talk about that this Wednesday evening. And so, listen, Wednesday night, if you use a cell phone, if you have any kind of devices or pads or, electrical field stuff that's around you, which means all of you, this is a class that you really don't want to miss, because Dr. Poe is going to get into it intimately. The guy's a pretty bright guy, he knows his stuff. Show up, 703-698-7117, 703-698-7117, and tell my staff that you want to find out why you're frying your brain and other essential parts of your body because of, and you sit there, and I said about essential parts. It can cause back pain, it can cause leg pain. How many of you use your laptops on your lap, or your cell phones, and you're using, I text all the time. Yeah, well, is it sitting on your lap, on your gonads?
I should
fry them. Yeah, well,
I'm all done.
I know. We have to forgive you. I mean, the fact that you went to Virginia Military Institute, and before you became a chiropractor, you were a cop, and I mean, there is a past for you. We won't get into that.
No,
because then I have to throw daggers at my son.
Not
too.
Today.
Right. Anyway, 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. This Wednesday evening, Dr. Leonard Poe will be your host and presenter at the Roselle Center for Healing in Fairfax, and that's what he's going to be talking about. I want to take this phone call because it's interesting. We got a couple of minutes, and I can't get in a whole lot of trouble with it. But Shirley, thank you for being patient.
Hello, Dr. Roselle, and the other doctor, I can't recall.
Dr. Poe.
Oh, Dr. Poe. Greetings. Yes, I have a relative, 10 years old, that has been diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder. He's 10. Behavior is deplorable at school at times, and at home he gets into crying spells. And it's already bad. I want to know, what is it really, what causes it, and what can be done for it.
Okay, Shirley, listen. That's oppositional defiant disorder is one of those catch-all psychiatric terms that says we really don't know why this kid is the way he is. Okay? That's number one. Unless they can show you that the kid's got a tumor, unless he's got, over-the-top allergic reactions over. So let me take it from a couple different venues, and I'm going to put my Sicilian nature in my back pocket for this, and Dr. Poe's going to be sitting there laughing at me right now. But the truth of it is simply this, okay? You get a child like this, and particularly a young boy, and we're not going to just say, well, he's just a boy. That's not the way it comes about. You have to look at everything in his environment. You have to look at parenting. You have to look at the customs in the house. You have to look at the associations around him. You have to look at the food that this child is eating. If the child is allergic to the food that he's eating, he is going to be over the top, uncontrollable, an ADD, ADHD type of situation. It can be neurological imbalance with the skull bones and the upper portion of the neck being out of place, and the child is going to react because of that. Shirley, listen, we're going to come up for a break in a couple seconds here. I'm going to hold you over. I want to make a couple more comments on this and kind of, put you in a little different perspective. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live, and we have to take a break. We're talking about electromagnetic field disorders and anything else that you'd like to talk about. You can give us a call when we're right back after these messages.
Did you know that routine mammograms can increase radiation exposure to breast tissue 1,000 times over a chest X-ray? Now consider a simple, non-invasive, and totally safe medical procedure approved by the FDA since 1982 that can detect breast cancer 5 to 8 years before it can be visualized on a mammogram. Infrared thermographic imaging can accurately detect the initial signs of breast cancer as increased blood supply and metabolic rate, which is recorded as heat. Why expose yourself to radiation when accurate and safe medical detection is available? Call the Thermography Center of Fairfax to schedule a breast exam today at 703-948-7248. That's 703-943-7248. For more information, visit www.thermographyscan.net. That's thermographyscan.net for the Thermography Center of Fairfax.
The Roselle Center for Healing is a proud supporter of breast cancer awareness and reminds you to conduct a monthly breast self-examination and a thermographic breast scan as part of your annual wellness checkup.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live continues now on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live in studio. Love to take your phone calls. 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. That's how you find me in studio. You want to talk to us outside the program, just go to rosellecare.com. That's ROSELLECARE.com. Send us a note. One of us will get to you and try to answer your question as specifically as we possibly can. We have somebody holding. My guest in studio today is Dr. Leonard Poe. He's going to be your host this Wednesday evening at the Roselle Center for Healing, and we're going to be talking about electromagnetic frequency problems, your headaches and potential problems of autoimmune dysfunction and neck pain and loss of hearing and cancers, and it goes on. This is a program that you really want to attend because there's not one of you that is not susceptible to any of this. Shirley, are you still hanging in there?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's take a quick minute. I'm just going to answer your question a little bit more fully. Oppositional defiant disorder is one of those things that, again, is kind of this bailiwick catch-all. They rule it in by ruling other things out. And, anxiety reactions and depressions and even, ADHD with children and ADD with children and so forth. And you go in and if you look at the catch list, it talks about things that all these things lasts for a period of time. You can't get rid of it, and it's always there and so forth. In our experience over the years, and I was kidding. It's not a strong-handed parenting situation because there's many ways to parent that are very successful. The thing of it is, you look at a child like this, you have to look at what was the state of health of the parent before the parent conceived this child, mother and father. Were there any injuries at birth? Were there forceps delivery? Were there breech deliveries? What kind of inoculations, and damage was done to the child because of the huge amounts of inoculants that we have? What is the dietary patterns? What are the exposures? What's the social environment? What are all those things? They all come together. If there's any structural damage due to injury or so forth to the cranium, to the skull, the 22 bones of the skull, or to the upper neck, it can cause a problem as well. So you put all of these things together, and then you begin to see if there's something that can be eliminated, can be done, can be changed. We've seen children like this over the years, and there's a reason. There always is a why is that, particularly when you have kind of this catch-all basket of symptoms that the medical community really can't tell you why the problem is. But if you handle those things, and if it's an allergic response or a sensitivity reaction, the anti-inflammatories, the fish oils and so forth, changing the diet, fixing the neurology and so forth, you see kids change. Shirley, I can't spend the rest of the program on it. I hope that helps. If we can help you in any way, send us a note. Dr. Poe, let's get back into talking about electromagnetics and why they're so destructive to the body. So why are they so destructive to the body?
Well, I'll make it simple, because they heat tissue is what it comes down to. And that's where we come down to causing, we know in some of those fields, genetic mutations, DNA mutations, but it's heating, and it's not good to heat your tissues internally. It does damage.
You have so many symptoms that walk into the office from, prickling skin, itching skin, eye disturbances, the formation, the faster formation of cataracts, headaches, muscle contraction pain, muscle spasm. All these things in many cases can be linked to electromagnetics. And once they're there, you've got to be able to shift things accordingly and make a difference. So when a patient comes in like that, what do? How do you weed through it? The patient comes in, they're complaining, the back of their neck is tight, they got headaches. You ask them, do you have pain on one side or both sides of the head? Well, I have pain on one side of my head, and that's often typically characteristic of a migraine. So how do we begin to distinguish it?
Well, it's like with any other patient. It's never one thing. It's not like it's just going to be electromagnetic interference and that's it. You start sorting through it. What are all the different pieces involved with that? And a big clue to this a lot of times is just history. What do you do for a living? Are you in IT? Or, how much time are you sitting in front of a computer? How many cell phones do you carry? How many patients do you have from this area, especially where they've got 3 different cell phones from different agencies and things? One on each hip. How much are you around and constantly being bombarded by those things?
The interesting thing is that there's been a tremendous amount of studies out there that have shown, in this country, not just in Europe. Europe is usually, light years ahead of us and relating things. But, they said that there are reported general and very severe symptoms, including tinnitus, ringing in the ear, and fatigue, and dizziness, and memory problems, and heartbeat problems, and headaches, and muscle pain, and the list goes on. It's craziness. And in 2005, the Health Protection Agency reported that there's an overlap in sufferers with syndromes known, and they use this crazy term. It's symptom-based conditions. Okay, functional somatic syndromes and idiopathic environmental intolerance. Do you see what they're doing? They're kind of abdicating responsibility. They're just saying this stuff just kind of shows up. It's like, okay, really? You got to get into this stuff on Wednesday night. You got to pick through the weeds.
The big difference is for some of these radiations, like I said, like the ionizing radiations, we know, like X-rays. You're not going to be X-rayed all the time. We know that there's damage that goes along with that. You want to do as few of those as possible. You don't want to keep doing X-rays over and over and over and over again. The other stuff, the non-ionizing, it's not as impactful, but it's the long-term dosage that you get day in and day out with all that stuff around you.
The incidence is anywhere from a low of 5 or 6 or 7% of the population up to everybody. It depends on who you read. But the point of it is everybody's been exposed to this. Got to come up for a break. Don't go away. This is a fascinating subject. Let's get into it a little bit more. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. This is Dr. Tom Roselle, author of Ageless Health. Health is a do-it-yourself program. My book, now also available in audio version, is a step-by-step program of how to take control of your health and wellness without drugs or needless surgery. You have the capacity to change your health and level of well-being. Take control of your health today and order Health is a do-it-yourself program.
For more information and to order, please visit agelesshealthbook.com. That's agelesshealthbook.com.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live continues now on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live in studio. Give us a call, 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. Love to talk to you on any subject that is bugging you, something that you're having a problem with. Let's see if we can turn the tables around a little bit and point you in a direction that doesn't involve drugs or surgery. That's why we're here. That's what we do. This Wednesday evening, the 10th of December, Dr. Leonard Poe is going to be your presenter in-house at the Fairfax office of the Roselle Center for Healing. He's going to be talking about electromagnetic frequencies and disruptions and problems that are caused by your cellular devices and simply living in this crazy cesspool called the Washington metropolitan area, because we are in a hot box. Simply you're being bombarded by microwaves and electromagnetics constantly, and if you don't do something to learn how to protect yourself, those headaches and the ringing in the ears and all those things that you've gone to everybody for that doesn't seem to be able to go away, this often is the cause, particularly when you're talking about muscle tension and eye pain and degradation and so forth. Give us a call at 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117. Tell my staff that you'd like to attend this Wednesday night's program. So if you got a device and you're on it, whether it's a small device, a big device, or multiple devices, and you're constantly being glued in and online, show up. This is something that you really want to learn about and figure it out, okay? Want to remind you before we get back into the program that Caring for Others and the Roselle Center for Healing is sponsoring second annual holiday Children's Jubilee on December the 20th. Caring for Others is an organization, it's a 501c3 foundation charity that was founded in 1998 that helps people who are less fortunate, not only with health care but also in this type of situation. This is about domestic violence, and these are children and mothers who have been put out of their homes, and particularly now at the Christmas season, it's desperate. And we're asking for your help, basically, straight up. Help us do this. WHUT-TV is joined on. They're going to be there. We're working with Shelter House and Artemis House, Patrick Henry House. These are all shelters that protect these people. Go to their website. Go to Caring for Others, LTD.org. That's CARINGFOROTHERS, LTD.org. And please be as generous as you possibly can. We need your help. This is an over-the-top night for these children. It'll make them feel like somebody really cares about them. Please do that. Help us. Caring for Others, LTD.org. Help us make the second annual Holiday Children's Jubilee a success. Dr. Leonard Poe is in office. Before we go there, we're going to go to the phones again. Patty, thank you for holding on. How can I help you?
Yes, thank you for taking my call. My question was about hearing aids. We have advanced, I guess, a lot in those, but now they have batteries, and some of them are actually Bluetooth capable. And I just wonder what your thoughts were on that, and if you thought of another alternative, if those are part of the problem.
Anything that is a Bluetooth technology has the potential of causing a problem. And, you know, if you go and you do the research, and there's a lot of stuff out there that says hearing aid protection and so forth, and safety products, and those are things to try to scramble, you know, the frequency. So the short answer is, can they be a problem? Yes. Are they as much of a problem as your cell phone and other devices? Probably not. But the thing of it is that anything that has Bluetooth technology is going to be potentially very hazardous and very dangerous. So I wouldn't do that unless, you know, the small batteries, yeah, but they're not anywhere near as deadly and dangerous as some of the other things. So I would definitely choose carefully, okay. And I would do the homework. I mean, you can go online and just, hearing aid dangers, hearing aid protection, hearing aid, and you'll find tons of stuff that's out there. But to answer your question specifically, if I had to do something with my own ear, it definitely would not be Bluetooth, and it would be the old-fashioned, the little bitty batteries that go into it, and that would be that. I hope that's helpful.
Yes.
888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. Love to talk to you. We're talking about electromagnetic damage and dysfunction. And you're laughing, Dr. Poe.
I'm holding back so many jokes right now. You have no idea.
Yeah, I know. You know, it's not a good. You know,
I love you. You know that.
You know, the problem is, Dr. Poe happens to be one of my better doctors, but we also have this other thing going on. He's my son-in-law. And I get beat up constantly because of, and don't even start right now. I mean, don't even start. It's okay.
I'm being good.
You are. I am very proud of you. I will get you later.
It's all this electromagnetic radiation here that's causing it.
I know. Yep. I know. You just can't help yourself, right?
You got a lawsuit coming, buddy. Dragging me in here.
Mm-hmm. See how it's going to happen, right? Let's talk a little bit more about this stuff, because obviously it is extremely, extremely hazardous, and that's what we want people to understand, that there's, and I know Wednesday evening you're going to get into how to protect from this stuff. You can protect cell phones with different devices. You can protect any of the devices. Even in our office, we have, and I'm not going to give away what it is, we have a canister behind the desk that actually will protect incoming electromagnetics 1,000 feet from the center of where the canister is. And it basically just interrupts the waves, the dangerous waves. And is anything 100%? No. But you have to know how to make a difference to at least kind of stave off, shore up your environment. And so let's talk a little bit more about, let's start from kind of an interesting platform. What's an electromagnetic frequency? What are we talking about here? I mean, people say, I can't see it, I can't touch it, I can't feel it.
Well, no, some of it you can see. You can see the visible wavelengths of it, which is visible light, and then you've got your infrared and ultraviolet, and you can see those pieces. But then when you get outside of that, they're wavelengths and frequencies of energy that, for the most part, you can't see. On one end of the spectrum, you have things like gamma rays and X-rays, and on the other end of the spectrum, you have things like, like your MRI, your FM frequency, AM frequency, things like that. So there are things that you can't, some of them you can see, but most of them, the ones that we're really worried about doing any kind of damage, you can't see. The ones that you can see, though, we do know that light plays a role on brain function, on neurology, on how different parts of the brain are excited and inhibited. Patients ask us all the time, how often do you get asked about those colored glasses we have in the room?
Constantly.
Yeah. And, part of that is when you start to isolate colors of light, different colors of light have different wavelengths, and you start to affect neurology because they'll inhibit or excite certain parts of the brain more than others.
So basically, we got the good stuff and we got the bad stuff, right?
And that's where you got to kind of wade through it all. Well, what's hurting us? How much is it hurting us? What's helping us? How much is it helping us? And, figure it out.
Well,
it's tough. It's not easy. It's not something that's real easy to. I like blood chemistry because you can measure that. It's very empirical. You can remeasure it. This is stuff that's tough to measure. There's no real way to look at. Well, how much damage did this DNA take today from this? It's hard.
It is hard. It's very difficult because when let's go back to the glasses, which are the different visual spectrums of light. To correlate it for people, if you look at a rainbow, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about all of those different colorations. And I'll tell a patient, you ever go outside and feel really good in the summertime? It's not too hot, but the sun's bright, and said, yeah, it feels great. I said, well, what you're doing is you're absorbing all those electromagnetics, the full spectrum of what we just talked about, the rainbow colors, but also other colors outside of that spectrum.
Right.
And they can be life-enhancing, they can be life-giving, they can be healing. But at the same time, the exposure to aberrant spectrums on different type of wavelengths,
like a solar flare.
That's right, can be destructive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
that's why the Earth has this protective electromagnetic boundary around it that protects us from those things.
And that's where we get in trouble, and that's where all the controversy comes in, that we're punching holes in the
right.
ozone layers and so forth, and we're being more exposed to gamma radiation and the like. So, this is a topic that we could get into the intricacies of the physics on it, but
no, I don't want to.
No, I don't either, really. Not today. It's like, okay, let's talk about quantum physics. No, we're not going to talk about quantum physics. 888-630-9625. 888-630-9625. That's how you find us here. And if you'd like to talk to us outside, rosellecare.com. But meantime, Anya, how can I help you? Good morning. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Thank you. I hate to destroy people's names.
Thank you for taking my call. I've been suffering with, I guess, what they consider now folliculitis or seborrheic dermatitis or something like that for at least 15 years. And I've been on every drug known to man, and everything helps for a little bit, and then it stops.
Okay.
So I thought if you had any thoughts on this.
Yeah, I do. Several. First of all, just for our listeners, a folliculitis basically is an inflammatory reaction of the hair follicles any place in the body. And it's, as the hair kind of pops out of the skin, it's that if you ever planted in the garden the bulb underneath it, that's what happens, is that hair follicle in the skin is what's becoming irritated, and guys have it in their beards from shaving. They get too close, and it can be bacterial. It can just be simply an inflammatory response to something. It can be contact. It can be a lot of things. But what we found over the years is that it can be all of those things, but it also can be a sensitivity reaction that's coming from the inside of the body, particularly if it's in a pattern in the body. It can be from the water that you use, particularly the fluorides that are in our water. They can do tremendous amount of damage. It's known to do that. Any of the soaps and detergents and so forth. Anybody washes my clothes in Tide, I'm going to start ripping my clothes off because I am so hypersensitive to it, and I end up with the type of problem that you're describing. So you have to really look at the underlying mechanism that is triggering this and causing this, and it takes a very careful, very specific history, and then some very specific testing that can be done with neuromuscle function testing, with homeopathic levels of things. And, it looks like, they're little pimples that show up, and they're red, and they're irritated, and they hurt, and they itch, and they burn, and, that kind of stuff. But you have to look at habits, and you have to look at environment. If you don't ask the questions about, what have you been exposed to, what kind of dental work have you had done over the years, what antibiotics have you on, what's the intestinal tract like, is the gut sterilized because of repetitive different steroids and antibiotics, and you don't create an environment that the body can be neutral in, then the stuff continues to go. It may be a lack of stomach acid, so you don't digest food properly. H. pylori is a bacteria that's in the gut, but one of the things that it can cause is skin rashes, and you often see it on the face. So these are the things that you look at after you rule out all the other stuff like diabetes and autoimmune conditions and so forth. Once those are gone, you better start looking inside the body and start seeing what that environment is like, and then treat that. You treat the underlying terrain, if you will, then the symptom, in your case folliculitis, begins to go away. I hope that's helpful. If we can be of help, Anya, please let us know, and we're more than happy to walk you through the weeds on this thing.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. 888.
I was going to say one more thing with that too is I would look at histamines.
Yes.
And how well you're able to handle those. Yeah.
Yep.
Because a lot of patients with those, you get them on a histamine-free diet. You keep those histamines down, and they do very well with it.
Absolutely. And histaminic reactions can be significant, and all of a sudden, and a patient can go their whole life and not have a problem, and then all of a sudden there's an underlying triggering mechanism. It could be the fight-flight system, the adrenal system, so you're not producing your own steroids the way it's supposed to. Your liver may not be doing the thing it should be doing with histaminic reactions, and now you end up with this type of problem. 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. Love to talk to you. We're here. We're talking about electromagnetic problems. That's your environment. Those are the cell phones. Those are the laptops. Those are all the things that, kind of bite you and you don't know that you're getting bit, but it can cause headaches, and it can cause autoimmune problems. It can cause tinnitus. It can cause ocular disturbances. The list really is quite extensive, and it's even to the point of causing some psychiatric and emotional irritations, because it breaks down the blood-brain barrier very quickly, and now your inflammatory reactions within the body is significant. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I get to talk about gliomas and.
Sure, go ahead.
No, I don't want to.
Okay.
No, yeah, and that's one of the things we worry about, especially when it comes to the brain, is whenever you start to get inflammation in the brain and you get a breakdown of those microglial cells, which are your immune cells in the brain. You get a breakdown of that blood-brain barrier, just like when we talk about leaky gut. You get a breakdown in the gut mucosa. The same thing happens in the brain, and that allows for a lot of these inflammatory chemicals to get in the brain, start doing damage, start interfering with neurochemistry, start doing different kinds of neurological destruction, and then we end up with different kinds of disorders. So whether it starts off, with simple things, like a slight tremor, okay? Well, it's a little tremor. Well, a little tremor's still bad, or my handwriting's getting bad. Those are signs of neurological degeneration, and that's a bad thing.
Let's talk about that, okay? Let's talk about intention tremors and neurological. We're going to call it neurological degradation.
Okay.
All right, and that shows up way too often.
Yeah.
And
it's ignored for way too long.
Yeah.
That's the scary thing.
So
you can catch that. I mean, you can start to see those things and catch that very, very early. Your handwriting's starting to get bad. You're starting to forget little things like where you put your keys, this and that. Those are signs of neurological degradation.
And you can turn that around.
And the sooner the better, because let me tell you, that doesn't regenerate. That doesn't,
No.
The heart and the brain, you don't want to screw around with those things, because once that tissue's gone, it's gone.
And it's consistent with one little cell that is specific, and it's called the mitochondria. And once you get mitochondria degradation... Organelle. Yes. You really want to get in the science of this thing? Okay, we can talk. We've got another hour here yet. The mitochondrial patterns are able to respond to very specific nutrient bases, and you can test them very quickly by repetitive action testing, and it shows up right now. But you got to know what to do with them. This Wednesday evening, Dr. Leonard Poe will be your host, your presenter at the Roselle Center for Healing. The 10th of the month. It's December. Oh my God, it's almost over. Please join us at 7:30 p.m. Call our office at 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117. Tell my staff you'd like to be there, because I promise you're going to going to learn things that you didn't really know about, but more importantly, you're going to find out how to fix them, which is more important than anything else. Don't go away. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle. Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. We're here every Sunday, 12 noon, right on your favorite dial. 888-630-9625 is how you find us. We do this program for you to make you think about what's best for you, to how to help yourself with things that everybody else has told you, drugs and surgery, or there's no answer to. Because the truth of it is, there's an answer for everything. This Wednesday evening, Dr. Leonard Poe will be your host, your presenter, at the Roselle Center for Healing. He's going to be talking about electromagnetic frequencies, the damage that they do to you, and more importantly, how to use them, perhaps to your own good, but also how to fix things and why they're causing headaches and migraines and muscle contractions and muscle spasm and tinnitus and autoimmune problems and so forth, and really what you need to know about. Call us at 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117. And don't forget, Caring for Others. Go to their website. Go to caringforothersltd.org and help us with the second annual Children's Jubilee on December the 20th. Dig deeply, my friends. We really could use your help. Roger, thank you for being patient. How can we help you, sir? We only have a couple minutes.
I was just listening to you on the radio, and I had a little experience with EMS. I used to work for an electric company in Arizona.
You sure did.
And they did many studies on EMS. People who lived under high tension wires, 1200 kV and above, and also, for people who work on those lines, they have a higher rate of breast cancer. They found out.
And leukemia. Go ahead. Go ahead. I said and leukemia as well.
Yes. They never expected to find what they found because of the people being near the lines, and you can hear it. If you can hear a high tension line, if you live near one. There's
so much of that, even in the Washington area. If you go on the C&O Canal and you run underneath the high tension wires, you hear it crackling. It actually gives you a very weird experience.
And you can feel it. I mean, it's just, I don't know what it is. It's kind of an odd feeling.
Well,
it goes through you when you get close to those lines.
It's affecting your whole electrical field and your body, and those are the things that we're talking about. Roger, unfortunately, I got to cut it quick. I appreciate your phone call. Thank you for your input. We're here trying to weed through the electromagnetic field, as they say. I can take one more phone call, but it's got to be real fast. Barbara, how can we help you? Thank you for calling. I got about 30 seconds.
Hello?
Barbara?
Hello?
Hi. Barbara?
Oh, yes, I want to ask just quickly.
Real quick.
As a higher up in cocoa content to go, is there more caffeine or less caffeine? For instance, in 100% cocoa powder, is there minimal caffeine?
It has caffeine in it, but it's not that much more significant unless you're drinking huge amounts of cocoa, and making sure that you have organic cocoa only, and making sure that your water's filtered. You should be fine. It's not going to do any more damage unless you're drinking tons and tons and tons of it. I wouldn't worry about a couple percentage points one way or the other. Unfortunately, as we've said many times, this program is way too short. One that we'd love to have about 2-3 hours with, and to be able to entertain all of your questions. But you can get a hold of us at rosellecare.com. That's ROSELLECARE.com. Call 703-698-7117 to register for this Wednesday evening, December 12th presentation by Dr. Leonard Poe on electromagnetic frequencies and how they affect your body. We're here for you. We're here for you every Sunday, trying to give you the most intimate information that we possibly can. We'll see you soon. We'll see you next week. Take care of yourself. Love you all. Bye. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. After 38 years of practice and almost 1 million patient visits, the Roselle Center for Healing knows what works and knows how you can take control of your health and wellness. My team of doctors practice 21st century integrative medicine. Whether you suffer from chronic pain and fatigue, allergies, or headaches, we can help. Take charge of your health before it's too late. Make an appointment today. Call 703-698-7117 or visit online at rosellecare.com.
Are you dental phobic? Do you neglect your dental health because of fear and anxiety? A beautiful smile begins with exceptional dental care, and you can trust in the expertise of Soft Touch Dental Care and Dr. Michael Chung. Soft Touch Dental Care is unlike any dentist office you'll ever experience. Their warm and welcoming environment is designed to soothe fears and anxiety the moment you arrive, and they're especially pleased to pamper their honored guest patients. Dr. Michael Chung is a professional and leading expert in all areas of comprehensive dentistry, including cosmetic, sedation, neuromuscular, TMJ, and implant dentistry. Offering state-of-the-art technology, Dr. Chung can give you the smile of your dreams. Arrange for a complimentary consultation today with Dr. Michael Chung and experience the expertise that makes Dr. Michael Chung so unique. Call 703-319-6990. That's 703-319-6990. Or visit bestinsmile.com. That's bestinsmile.com.